So, as you both know, individuals are required to attend 2 financial counseling sessions during a bankruptcy or a consumer proposal. And these sessions are intended to provide individuals with tools so they can make a budget, they can stick to it. They're also intended to explore any non-budgetary causes to the insolvency. Um, do you have any stories that you can share from individuals that you've helped about how they are able to manage their finances after they received a fresh start through a bankruptcy or a consumer proposal? David, do you want to go first on this one?
Well, one thing we've seen with our clients is everybody has a different style when it comes to managing their budget. And that's one of the things we help them do is understand what is their style. A lot of times people get afraid of looking at their budget because their assumption is, I must follow this sheet. This sheet says I can spend this. And we have to teach people to say, well, no, it's what are you comfortable with? Some are comfortable with using their debit card, tracking it through their bank statement to get their understanding of their expenses that way. And part of it is also understanding where I call it the loose money goes, where all that pocket change, the 1 coffee a day, the 2 coffees a day, cigarettes, what have you. And that's when we show people what can happen with their budget. That's where some dramatic changes can happen, even though it seems small. So the example we'd have is a fellow, he was 2 to 3 times a day going into the coffee shop. And then once we showed him that was $60-70 a month, he was like, okay, forget this. And he said he just went, bought a thermos, made his coffee at home, and his $60-70 now became 5. And in his case, he was using it for, he was sharing custody with his kids. So this now became an extra pizza night with the kids, or going out to the show and being able to do different things because now he's got that different amount of money. And we also show people with budget, it's about balance. It's not about just cut. It's about how do you balance that you only have so much money coming in each month. You only have that much money to spend. So you then have to balance, well, what do you want to do this month versus what do you want to do the next month?
Now, that's really good advice. It's figuring out what your priorities are and then putting a plan on paper so you can make those priorities actually come to being. Tina, do you have anything that you can share about counseling and how that helped people moving forward?
We often receive lots of great feedback from people who continue to embrace the positive aspects of the budgeting, whether it be the budget, paper budget, an electronic budget, marking it down on a whiteboard, tracking their expenses so that they can determine what is going out versus what is coming in, can often change their habits immediately. We often as well hear from clients who, long after the insolvency process, continue to embrace the budgeting process. And by doing so, they're able to realize on goals like buying a home. So it's there's so many benefits to setting up a household budget and continuing to follow it long after the insolvency proceeding is finished.
That's interesting. And you make a really good point that there isn't one strategy that there are different ways that people can plan what to do with their money. There's, people use the jar system, people use spreadsheets, what have you. So thanks for that, Tina. I think for me, the best story I have is I met with a young woman. She was in her 20s, single. She liked to go out with friends a lot, and they got into the habit of going out to restaurants. And as you probably both know, when you sit on a patio having dinner with friends and you have a few cocktails, it adds up. She had a decent income, but really, if you do that over time, even on a weekly basis, it can get pretty expensive. And it ended up getting her into financial difficulty. Her income did not support her lifestyle. So through the counseling sessions, we were able to, talk about why she was doing those things, because she knew that it was self-destructive. And it was really just that's what she had to do in order to be out with people and be social. So we put our heads together and we looked at ways she could still do those things. So in British Columbia, which is where we live, we're fortunate to have good weather most of the year. So you're able to go outside and do those sorts of things, and you can do it on more of a budget. So instead of going to restaurants and sitting on patios, she and her friends would started going on hikes, and they'd pack different things to eat, and they'd have potluck little lunches and dinners and bring a bottle of wine if it was not a steep hill, or bring water if it was a steeper climb. So yeah, it's really satisfying to hear that when you, or to get that feedback from clients and from individuals that they really take those counseling sessions to heart, and they're able to make their income work for their lifestyle in a more sufficient, or what am I trying to say? Sorry, in a more productive way or a less destructive way. And she actually had filed a 5-year consumer proposal, a 60-month term, and she was able to pay it off in 3 years because of those changes that she made. So it was a really great story.